Hey guys, welcome back. Today I wanted to talk about some of the repair information I use. Sometimes people ask in the automotive repair videos that they find on YouTube, what is a good place to find repair information or what repair information we're using. It depends on the individual that you're watching, but there's two major ones that everyone uses and sometimes a third one that most people use. And there's other ones out there as well, but I don't have any experience with them. So the primary one that we used to use is Prodemand. It used to be On Demand 5 or Mitchell 1 or ShopKey if you buy it through Snap-on. It has a lot of different names, but it's basically a full repair information system. So let's take a tour of that right now. It used to be all sent out on DVD. Now it's all online. You could probably request a DVD version if you don't have internet in your area or bad internet, but I don't know what the pricing is on that. The online version can be anywhere from $150 a month to $200 a month for Prodemand, Identifix, or Alldata. And in case you're looking for the DIY version, I will cover some of that later on in the video. But first, since I have the full system, we'll go with that. I've selected the same vehicle for all three companies. It's a 2010 Toyota Tacoma. When you log into Prodemand and you pick your vehicle, it's going to bring you up with the OneSearch Plus menu. Now, those of you that are using the Snap-on scanners with internet connectivity and access to repair information, this is going to be very familiar to you, and some of your stuff like Intelligent Diagnostic is going to punch in search information for you. So if we had a code P0300, we wanted information on that, we could punch it in right here. This is going to give us repair information over here, keyword search, related items. If we just punch in the search here, it's going to say top repairs, causes, and fixes. So you can, now this is just like silver bullet stuff. This isn't the test procedure. If we have a P0300, it could be any one of these things, but it could be a lot more as well. So I don't recommend using that in all cases, but sometimes it is kind of nice to see multiple codes and see what one item relates to multiple codes or to that one code. But from here you can, and this is just like what you'll see on the Zeus, Apollo, Triton, and the Virus scanner. If you go into the repair information, we can do wiring diagrams based off of that code. It's going to have the ignition system, so it's going to kind of narrow it down for you. But I don't use the OneSearch a whole lot. That's not my first go-to. It does have a lot of nice shortcuts. If we're going to look up maintenance stuff, fluid capacities, it's all right here. But I'm familiar with the old method of going in here and going to service manual. And then we can pick what we want to work on. So if we're working on suspension, say if doing front shocks or something, we can go to service information here, front shocks for four-wheel drive. Some people call them a strut on those, but they're kind of interchangeable for that type of suspension. So we'll do removal process. It tells us how to do everything. This looks like factory illustrations, courtesy of Toyota. So there are a lot of factory repair information in here. They don't always recreate it. So no matter which company you're using, you could be getting factory information part of the time, rewritten and redrawn information the rest of the time. Let's just jump over to Alldata and we'll do the same thing. After you punch in the vehicle, it defaults to this screen. There's a search box up here. We could type in, let's try P0300 again, see what we get. Testing and inspection. So it doesn't give us all the extra information, the recommended fixes, stuff like that. It brings us to the factory code definition and testing and procedures. And let's look up those front shocks. So steering and suspension. Now this layout is quite a bit different than the Prodemand layout. It brings you to this screen here, which has repair information, parts, service bulletins, specs. This says P&L, that's parts and labor. Sometimes they'll have both icons here, but we'll go suspension, shock. Oh, that's just the tower. Let me go back. Parts and labor. So it's not bringing us straight to the repair procedure. If we click on it, let's click on that. So the navigation is quite a bit different. I'm still getting used to AllData, but I do like some of their features. So remove and replace, full wheel drive. So quite a few clicks if we go in there manually. It probably would have been faster if we used the search feature for AllData. But those of you that are familiar with AllData, you probably know how to jump right in here and do it. Now let's go over to Identifix, and we're going to punch in the same thing. It's a little faster to use the search feature on Identifix than the service manual. Right here is Identifix main feature, which is recommended repairs, confirmed fixes, alternative testing to the factory testing. But let's scroll down here, and then it'll have the how to repair, how to remove and replace. We'll click on that, factory service information. So they show all of the different variations all right here. We can also look up labor on the same screen. If we go back to AllData and we punch in the front shock over on this side, there is also shortcuts as well. So if we can do disassembly, reassembly, removal. We can scroll down here and service bulletins, precautions, inspection. So there is a lot of information that can be had from the search on that, from AllData and Identifix. Prodemand, we can try the search, see if it'll narrow it down for us. If I spell it right here. So we can go keyword search, front shocks, service information removal. So you can find it that way. I'm just used to looking through the actual service manual and picking the procedure I want. But as they're changing the manuals and they're getting more complicated, the search feature may be your best friend when you're looking for something specific. Let's cover some of the maintenance and fluid menus that each company has. So from Prodemand, we can do the OneSearch. Let me go back to the home here, and we can go fluid capacities. It'll show us everything real quick. Which part of the vehicle are we servicing? What kind of fluid it takes is over here. How much, metric and standard. There's some notes in here, and some different engine options depending if it's manual transmission, automatic, four-wheel drive, two-wheel drive. So it's kind of all on one screen, easy to read, but occasionally there will be missing items, and you actually have to go into the repair manual for that specific part. It'll tell you how to test it and what type of fluid to add. I typically go down here to the maintenance tab, and then you can pick what your mileage is. I haven't found a good way to print off service intervals from Mitchell. If I go to print here, it's going to try and print a whole bunch of information, so 90,000 miles, and then down here below it has all the other stuff that's further down on the screen. If I just want one item, you're not going to want to print it from Mitchell unless you pick which page in that list and print just that one page. So let's jump over to Identifix. Now this is probably my personal favorite when it comes to recommended maintenance. So we'll punch in 90,000 miles here on the home screen, and I really like the technician plan. You can print off the customer plan if you want to give them a hard copy of it, but the technician plan, you're not going to want to print this because there's a lot of information. It doesn't have just the 90,000 mile service, but it has the repair procedure for each one of those line items, including torque specs, fluids, lift points. So let's scroll down here. You can select what type of driving conditions, and it'll add different line items to this. So it says what you need to do. If you print this out, those check marks aren't checked off. It gives you boxes to check it as you go through it. You can look up recalls, reliability reports, service bulletins. It says are listed. There's 130 for that vehicle, but right underneath the amount of grease fittings on a 4-wheel drive, there's 4 to 5 fittings depending on the wheelbase. And then lifting points, it shows you where the stuff is under the hood, the oil cap, whatnot, procedures, belt routings, and then I think all the way down here at the bottom, I saw firing order as I was going through there. It gives you the wheel torque. So great quick place to find all of the common repair information for your maintenance items. So for your lube tech, if they are doing rotations, fluid exchanges, stuff like that, this is a great resource. Proper lifting of vehicles. Some vehicles you'd be surprised where the recommended lift points are, and you'd be surprised to find out that you haven't been lifting them by the recommended spots. If you want that information quick and easy to punch it in, you have to punch in a mileage. Even if you just want the lift points, punch in something like 10,000 miles, whatever you need to do, hit that technician plan, drop it down, and you'll get that those lift points. Let's jump over here to the customer plan. And it's a very basic report of what was done for that 90,000 mile service. So it doesn't have all the repair information that we were using earlier. We can go to maintenance schedule, and this is going to look a lot like what the Mitchell Prodemand had available. It's going to show the mileage, check marks of what needs to be done. Let's jump over to Alldata. Click on the maintenance tab. Now they have a little bit different setup, and they may have something better, and I just don't know how to use it because I'm kind of new to Alldata. I've only had it for a few months. But let's go to the normal service table. And is there a drop down here? So 80 to 100,000 miles. So at 90, we need to do all this stuff. I'm not sure what this will look like if we print it. Not very good. That is terrible. They need to work on that, because that was completely useless for printing out. I know today everything seems to be going digital, so they could make a maintenance checklist that is, you can click on stuff, mark it off when you're done with it, print it out like that. They need to do something to improve on this. If you're just looking at the digital stuff to build an estimate, or to actually follow through with the 90,000 mile service, you can just go down the list. It tells you to inspect and replace certain things. But I'm going to say that the best one by far is the Identifix. I'm going to cover wiring diagrams very quickly in this video. I'm going to make an entirely different video covering the details about the wiring diagrams, but we'll just pull up a quick diagram for each company. Alldata has factory or aftermarket. We'll go aftermarket, and we'll just say the horn. It's going to give us the whole diagram for the horn. We can highlight wires if we click on this. Not that we need to, because there's not a whole lot going on this page, but with more complicated diagrams, it's best to highlight stuff. And they have made some changes to the highlighting system, and I'll cover that in that other video. If we want to look at the factory information now, we can click electrical OE. It'll take us to the horn circuit. Very basic as well. Very similar to what let me turn that sideways so it shows up a little bit bigger on your screen. Very similar to what we had on the aftermarket redrawn one with a simple circuit like this. The more complicated circuits, the redrawn diagrams are sometimes way easier to read. Let's go to Identifix. We'll punch in horn. Now I also could go up here to service manual, go down to electrical wiring diagrams and find it that way. But if you type in what you're looking for, you can come down here. They have the motor diagram, which is probably that same redrawn. No, it's not. It's a different diagram. So that looks like the factory diagram, only there's no color. And then color diagrams. So this is the same diagram that we had access to from Alldata, the redrawn diagram. We can highlight stuff. And then up here we have the factory wiring diagrams. And it's all in color. So Identifix had 3 different diagrams. One was just a black and white version of this. It wasn't even redrawn. One was the interactive color diagram, and then we have the factory diagram in color. So in Prodemand, we go to Horn, click on that, same redrawn diagram. We have our different colors. It's highlightable, very similar. I don't believe that you have access to the factory wiring diagrams in the Prodemand system. So that's a quick overview of the wiring diagrams. Like I said, I'll have a video of the major differences between the companies and some of the new features that they've included. So this is all based off of the full-blown shop subscription to the repair information. Now, if you're a DIY person, you're not going to want to spend, $200 to access it for a month to fix your vehicle. So there are some options. Alldata and Prodemand both have a DIY subscription. Let's talk about the differences between them and which one I would recommend at this point. The Alldata DIY, they got pricing on this screen. Okay. So your first vehicle is $29.95. Each additional vehicle is $19.95. That's for a full year subscription. So you pick what you're working on, you pick your car, and you get a full year access to all the repair information, wiring diagrams. You have another vehicle that you're working on or that you drive, it's another $20. Now that's a pretty good deal if it's your own vehicles. If you're doing side jobs maybe once a month, then it would make sense to purchase maybe the DIY, because your first vehicle, your primary vehicle that you drive every day, $30 for the year. Every vehicle you work on in your driveway, even if it's a weekend project, pay the $20. You get all that repair information. You don't have to start guessing. You don't have to scrounge the internet. It's all in one place. If you keep your vehicles for a long time, you will save quite a bit of money by going with a 5-year subscription. So around $50, that's $10 a year for repair information. Additional vehicles are $35. So I haven't found on their website, I did send them an email, but on their website, I didn't see any limitations of what data was included. When we jump over here to Mitchell, their pricing was a little cheaper, but you can buy a shorter time frame. So it's $20 for a 1-month deal. The same price if you get a 1-year deal, or you can get a 4-year price plan, but they don't show prices for additional vehicles as being discounted. And then I was thinking, okay, it's the same price depending on what people want to use. It doesn't really matter because the price is the same until I got to the bottom of the screen here. And it says what's not inside. Please note that not all this stuff is covered under DIY, and this is why I sent an email to Alldata to find out if there's limitations. These are not covered. Body and collision repairs, which that's not even covered under all of the professional one. That's an additional element that you have to add in. Headlight and tail light, that's typically included. Windows and regulators, door panels, locks and latches, mirrors, glass, wipers. Filter are remove and install for R&I. Spark plugs and wires, radiators and thermostats, and then non-standard parts. I see this as a huge downfall. Why would you not include spark plug replacement? A lot of DIYers are doing basic repairs and maybe not doing a complete engine replacement. So if you want to do basic maintenance on your vehicle, they're not going to show you where the oil filter's at. They're not going to show you how to change the air filter on some of the vehicles where they're difficult, or the cabin air filter where you have to remove glove boxes or parts of the dash. Basic stuff like radiators and thermostats, those are all common items that need to be replaced that they're not going to include in the DIY version at this point. So I would say if I had to buy one of them just as a subscription for DIY repair, I would pick the Alldata one. On their website, it doesn't list any limitations, so I'm guessing that they don't have them. If they do, then I will put something down in the description updating that. So make sure to check down in the description, and if I'll put it in big bold letters up at top that if there's limitations with the Alldata subscription, then it's kind of equal between the two. Identifix does not have a DIY subscription at this point that I could find on the internet. It's probably because they have so many resources and so much information from individuals out there, and it's not just the factory service information, that licensing and agreements for privacy is a little different, and they want to go with a full-blown subscription instead of having DIY access. So if you guys have any additional questions, put those down below and I'll try to answer them. Questions about stuff like MotoLogic, another repair information out there, I don't really have the answers to. I've never used any of the other ones except for some of the factory repair information systems and Prodemand, Identifix, and Alldata. So if you have other ones out there that you like that I didn't mention here, then put that in a comment down below. Tell me what you like about it, and maybe I can try it out. I'll do a test drive with the company and see if I like that information better than one of the ones I have already. If you want to see the detailed video of the difference in the wiring diagrams and some of the new features that they recently added, that'll be coming out soon. Once it's released, I'll try to remember to come back here and put a link in the description. If I forget to do that, then just let me know and I'll send you in the right direction. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe and click the bell. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.